Hello and welcome to Get a Grip on Rebates. I'm Juan Carlos Blacker, and as always, I'm with John Wilson. And today we have a special guest, Michael Colligan from Get a Grip on Lighting. And of course, as always, we are brought to you by TCP. You can find our friends at TCP at tcpi.com. Go there if you're a lighting nerd. They got awesome tools. They got rebate finders. They got lighting calculators. They got ROI calculators. They're great, and they got great products. So go see our guys at TCP. John, Mike, good to have you. We're talking direct install today to follow up from our last conversation. Uh, First, Mike, how you been? How are things
Hey,
up in Canada?
yeah, we're keeping it tight. I'm not so
You
happy with
are.
the government, but I mean, whatever. I think everyone's in the same boat on that one, right?
Yeah, they just dropped a mask mandate again here in Oregon, so things keep expanding and contracting. It's the world we live in.
hmm
So,
We're talking
um,
about. I think we're talking about direct install programs, though, right? Not
we
COVID
are talking
19.
about direct. Yeah, we could go
You wouldn't
politics
know
all
it.
day
You
long.
wouldn't know it.
We are talking direct install, and we ended up the last conversation, Mike. So bring you up to speed. Starting to talk about the third party implementers, the implementation companies that put them in. I know John has some opinions. So John, tell me what you were thinking from our last conversation.
Yeah, hey, I was thrilled we could get Mike on here because I know he's going to have some strong feelings on it. Look, I was saying if you're a utility, it's a win-win because you have exported the burden, you have exported everything, the risk and the reward, over to this third-party implementer who ostensibly can align with a few really good predetermined contractors and then just go and burn freaking rubber. Okay. But the problem obviously is anytime you're moving fast, it's 1 degree off, but you're moving fast. That can grow. Issues can get big quick. I feel like I know the one of the criticisms I hear from contractors and distributors is like, oh, I can't get into those programs, or I can get signed up for those, but like I don't get big action like other people get big action. And so there seems to be
Right.
this feeling of like, well, if you can get into it, it's hot. But to keep everything competitive and for those third party implementers to win, they have to go and partner. They can't be open to everybody and have every single. I mean, it's part of the difference of what makes it direct install and allows it to be low enough cost that it's either free or mostly paid for. So, I mean, that's my initial reaction when I think about direct install and like where the sensitivities are.
Right, right. You get the same situation with manufacturers. I got a lot of my manufacturing contacts who want to know how they get involved in those, and usually those contracts for products are set. They're long. They've been long term. They have had the same manufacturer, the same supplier of products, sending them, putting together the products for these direct install programs. Like you said in the last show, maybe they're not the top end products. Maybe they're sort of bottom tier. Maybe they are top end products, but either way, those contracts set. So it's tough to enter into those markets if you haven't been in them uh, for
Let's
a
ask. We got
while,
the
right?
distributor. We got the distributor on the phone with us.
Yeah, Mike,
I've never heard him be this what's the word resonant, what's the word, quiet,
quiet.
like, yeah, quiet, never. Mike,
That's because my
bust.
microphone's on mute.
There we
Um,
There
go.
you go.
yeah. So hey, let me. I'll tell you guys a little story, and you can tell me what you think. So, in 2006, I had put together a three-page trifold catalog of retrofit prices for 2x4s, 1x4s, strips, wraps, all this sort of stuff, and like the cost of the materials, the cost of the labor, the energy efficiency, and the light output. And I had this catalog. If I
Right,
find it, I'll have Scott, the producer, blend it in here. And I was approached by a company like yours, JC, like Lighting Sold or whatever, and they came to me and he walked in the thing, and I was doing a rebate program at the time to give away CFLs.
right,
So we were the highest performing. We beat Home Depot and everybody. We gave away so many CFLs it was ridiculous. And so the guy came to visit me, and he was waiting for me in the waiting room at the front, and he pulled out the catalog and he looked at it, and he said, "Hey man, this is really cool. Could you do this? Because we're working on a program, a direct install program where we would have a contractor go out and install these T8 and T5 retrofit kits directly into customers' business. And I said, yeah, we do that every day, whatever. And he's like, can I use this pricing? I said, sure. So he used the pricing in my catalog to go to the utility to start a T8, T5 direct install program. Called me back and he said, hey, could you run the whole program for me for this municipality? And I said, well, which municipality is it? And he told me what it was. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. And so it ended up being like a 5-year contract worth many millions, not many, but a couple $1,000,000. And I just happened to own a lighting distribution company, electrical contracting company, and a fluorescent lamp recycling company. So I was very well positioned to do this. And so I think I was the first person to ever do a direct install program in North America. I don't think anyone else did it. I think it was the first one.
Michael.
Maybe not.
Michael. Not
Probably
by
not.
a country mile, brother. Not by a country mile. But
maybe in Ontario then.
You gotta love that human spirit, though. You gotta love. I mean, listen, it is not crazy that we independently evolve to similar or the same.
Yeah, sure. So let me finish the story though.
Yeah, go ahead.
So then I did this, and then I knew I was signing I didn't like this at all. I was like, okay, I'm gonna win big here. No, I liked it for me, but I didn't like this trend because I knew that if this expanded into the mega cities of Ontario, I would be completely cut out of it. And what ended up happening it was that it did do that. And major corporations came and took the whole thing over and said that I didn't know what I was doing and I'm too small to handle it. Meanwhile, we had 18 guys going out every day and doing these installs, and we had the highest rate of extra sales. So one of the indicators that they used at the time was like they given $1,000, but could you get them to do the rest of their facility? Could you get them to go and pay for more? And our rate was somewhere at like 60%. And then when these bigger companies were doing it, they had a rate of, they were only giving away $1,000. That's all they could do, is give away $1,000. And so our rate was much higher. Our close rate, we were cold calling door to door. Our strategy was to go door to door to door to door and sign everybody up.
Right.
And so we did everything. We did the sales, we did the install, we did the recycling, we did the supply, we did the whole works. Then one of the larger corporations got in trouble in one of their regions that they were in, and then we got brought in by this company like Lighting Sold. They brought us in and said, fix this mess. And so we fixed it. So I was on a direct install run from about 2007 to 2014. And I did tons of direct install stuff. But I knew that this was not good for lighting distributors. And because the vast majority of my clients were those businesses already, buying lighting from me, right? So massive customer bases were eliminated from my distribution business. And so my feeling on direct install programs, I think my opinion is that the utilities should get out of it. And the reason why I say that is because, while I think I did a good job, okay, and I think what it does normally is there's a lot of unintended consequences. Like it wrecks local relationships. It excludes people that may be better at the program. There's whole companies, very, very big companies that have 70, 80% of their revenue comes from direct install programs, and they walk around like they're big shooters. Meanwhile, they simply are giving away free stuff. And, I think the entire...
Michael, okay, you're making good points. You're just making so many of them that I'm going to lose some of them. So I gotta ask this. So when you're like, okay, do you both, speaking of normal human things, it is normal. I'm not saying this is a fault, but if you're like, I want to have my cake and I want to eat it too, I wouldn't think you're crazy, okay? But do you want utility incentives, but you also want to tell them the best way to give them to your business?
Listen, I don't think the utilities, even after 20 years or however long are very good at this. At these rebate programs. Not
very good at it, but do you want so you don't think they're good at it? Do you want their dollars I mean, do you think they should be
I'm
let,
ready
let,
for I'm ready for no rebates. Like my business, I'm at the point at which, uh, um, I'm at the point at which I would like to see a lot of businesses in Toronto go bankrupt because they're totally based on they're total rebate chasers.
right?
And
So okay, so we've talked. This is a different topic, and you've kind
yeah,
of talked about this before, actually.
but
So
direct
like,
install.
like
Yeah, go back to direct
right.
install, right?
listen,
Yeah,
if you don't like utility
Uh,
rebates, if utility rebates in general bring the floor down, then direct install brings it down even farther.
exactly.
right. Right.
So okay,
And
but go
let
ahead.
let me jump in, John. Let me jump in. So Mike and I actually have always seen eye to eye on this. I agree that rebates have thrown a wrench into the lighting market on all levels
Hmm.
since the beginning. They've
Hmm.
always altered the way the market works. But we're now 20, 30 years into these programs.
Hmm.
So maybe the old world just isn't there. I agree. It is a curveball for the market. Every point you brought up about how it affects distributors and how it is negative for is absolutely spot on. The problem is utilities love them, and as we mentioned in the last episode,
Well,
these
do all
direct install
distributors
programs
not like
aren't
them?
going
Is that
away.
true?
They're growing. They're growing.
Do all
So
distributors not like them?
No, there's
Like
distributors. Like I said,
there are
there's
some people
distributors
who are
that
winning.
yeah, there's ones that are their whole business model is based on talking utilities into in getting utilities to do direct
right,
install programs. But I know that that Nailed is involved with perhaps sending an angry letter to some of these utilities demanding that they allow all distributors in the market to participate in all programs, and that there may be a lawsuit should they go ahead and do this because there are damages,
right.
and that's the fact.
I I think this is one
Listen,
of these things that
markets change.
I've been hold on, John. I've been arguing this for a while on my side that utilities need to better understand the market and the players in the market. That is something they've ignored because they felt they had the power to just push their agenda. I see it starting to happen slowly by slowly, at least here on in the Pacific Northwest, where they're starting to try to understand the players and understand the grievances of their distributors, of their manufacturers, of their contracting partners, and slowly maybe it'll get better. I agree. These direct install programs need to be more diverse, need to reach out to more of the market than these single large third party implementers who are behemoths and coming in with poor quality product that they've sourced super cheap and using contractors that are maybe not experienced. So I'm with you on that, but trying to get the
It's
utilities and the
such a
utility rebates to go
generalization.
away, it's
That is such a broad. But even just saying it's only a few people and it's not. Listen, it's not diverse. It's funny how you were using the word diverse here, because I would tell you that maybe the set of distributors isn't diverse, but by picking a few distributors who are willing to go to other parts of the market where the traditional bigger legacy distributors aren't going, the utilities are actually reaching a more diverse customer set. So utilities want to reach hard to reach customers, small businesses, multifamily units, and they're not getting
The
that with their
conundrum, the
downstream
conundrum,
programs.
John, John, you're pointing out is that this dry cleaner guy's never going to take his T12s out if someone doesn't go and do it for him. I understand that perspective. Okay, there is. I'm not saying like I don't think JC's saying it either. That there isn't an upside. Yeah, I mean that guy, that auto shop, he isn't able to. He's all the money he makes goes to get his family, and he's never going to change out the 7 metal halides he has in his shop, right? But I think there's unintended consequences, and I don't think the utilities even acknowledge them, let alone try to make it. Now, when you're talking about equitable, I think if people actually knew how utility rebates were paid for, there would be a lot more pushback. These rate-based programs where they take the cost of the program and they mix it into the energy cost, amortize it over 5 years, and bill it to every grandma in town. That's not equitable, man.
Well,
So
I mean, and in what way? Okay, first of all, I love free markets. I've never seen one, and you haven't either. But I love the idea of them, okay? But they don't exist. They don't exist. The next point I'm going to make is this: your idea of equitable, like, you can come up with whatever you want based on your grievances of rate-based fee being in the electric rates. But if you ask the average person, well, do you want the utility to go get this at the overall like lowest cost? Or, I mean, it is equitable. Ask the regulators. There's a whole framework set up for this. Is it perfect? No. But to just broad blanket say that, it's a canard. It's not true.
Well, the provincial benefit, the once called provincial benefit in Ontario, which is now called the on the bill, it's called the global adjustment. They changed the name of it. That's
Good name.
yeah, that's 90% of the electricity bill in Ontario.
Really?
70 to 90% is
I would want
not the cost of electricity or the distribution of electricity. It's programs.
I would want it spent. I would want those programs to be run cost effectively, not make sure everybody who sells electrical lights gets a piece of the pie. I would say go get the best bang for the buck.
So I would say that, I like, look, I understand if the goal is to reduce demand and do it for small business, then direct install programs are very effective at doing that. That's not the question. What I'm saying is that it probably isn't any of the utilities' business. And while the most profitable, best years of my business were 2007 to 2014, when I was the only cat in town and I got to go to every store and everybody had to buy from me. Nobody had any choice. I was the only one that held the $1,000 and then they moved it to $1,500. I was the only one. I went crazy on that program and I got like the average $1,000 would cost me like maybe $250 to get done. Lamps, recycling, labor, everything by the end of the program. We were so good at it that it was so ridiculously profitable.
I mean, that sounds like a shitty waste of government of those electrical dollars in my mind. I'm like, God, what a terrible way to spend ratepayer dollars.
Yeah, but we were also the best at it. Like nobody could beat it. Everyone else was claiming that the prices weren't high enough. I was saying,
should the best person get it, or should everybody get it? Like, should it be
everybody should get it?
Okay, not the best, not the company who's the best.
Who gets to choose who's the best? It depends on who gets to choose.
Well, the way that it works typically is that a third-party implementer partners with a handful of regional implementers. So, Michael, when you were describing what happened, and then you were like, then I got fired, and then they asked me if I could come back. Like, what that sounds like to me now is I'm like, dang, Michael's company, vertically integrated, they would be a third party on one of these contracts. There'd be a primary implementer, and that primary implementer would be like, I need Michael's company because he crushes it. Michael, you're my guy. And I'm only working with 3 guys. So that is how it works now. Like, isn't like you're saying?
No,
like,
the company that won it definitely wasn't the best. Okay, no, by no stretch of the imagination. No, they were just a big corporation, and they moved in and they.
That's something different. Like don't blame direct install for that. Blame the fact that there was a crappy implementer who got selected. I mean that's a different issue, and you're conflating them.
That always happens, John. Except when they chose me.
I don't think that that's what he's arguing. I think he's arguing in general utility programs are too limiting to the market, which I would agree with. And it's fun. It's fun to watch this tennis match going back and forth. And I'm just sitting here kind of smiling my way through it. I think I fit the middle ground between the two of you. John, you make great points about getting the biggest bang for your buck. Mike, I totally agree with you about you need to diversify into the market, not diversify the customers. I think utilities are actually doing a pretty decent job of reaching those diverse customers, but diversifying the market that you're using. Unfortunately, it's a push and pull on all sides, whether you're in Canada or the U.S. What we do know, John, is that these programs are growing. We're going to see more and more of them. I don't think COVID is slowing them down. I think they're becoming the de facto cheapest way to get savings for utilities, and utilities still want the savings, Michael. So they're not going away, Mike.
I want you to know this. This is going to make you feel good. You're going to sleep well tonight. In my practice, when I get a chance to talk to utilities about this, I tell them what you are saying. I voice your concerns. I agree they suck in general at doing it, and they need to be better, and there are unintended consequences that they don't look back on. So I get your points on that, and I do share it. I share that with utilities when I talk to them. So I get that. But these programs are growing. They're here to stay.
Mike, I want to give you a chance to throw in a last word before we cut for the day.
Yeah, I
Any
mean,
last thoughts?
I don't get upset about things that I can't control, and so, if the utilities are, this is what they want to do, and it's, they want to spend their customers' money without their customers knowing, which is what's really happening, to gain energy efficiency that they always overestimate, and with the benefit being less than is prescribed, go for it.
I think that puts us in a good place to end the program. Michael, thank you for joining us. As always, a pleasure. You always get John nice and heated, which makes me laugh. And again, always a pleasure. Thank you to TCP for sponsoring the program.
Love those
Go see them
guys. Yeah.
great guys. Go check out their website, tcpi.com. John, always a pleasure seeing you. Good luck in the heat today.
Woo.
Mike.
Yeah,
We'll
likewise.
talk soon.
Thanks, Michael, for joining.
Thank you guys.
All right, later.
Bye.